Hi, my name is Rick Ritchie, and we're going to be talking about situational leadership according to Fiedler's contingency model and the path goal theory. The objectives today are to examine situational theories of leadership. We want to develop a better understanding of Fiedler's contingency model of leadership, and Fiedler was a pioneer when it came to situational leadership, and that's a large part why we still study Fiedler's contingency model. I'm going to familiarize yourself with Fiedler's least preferred coworker scale. And on the top, that sounds really funny, but we want to talk about it and actually how understanding how your opinions are about your least preferred coworker um, helps to develop who you are as a leader, according to Fiedler. Then there's path goal theory of leadership that we want to review, and then be able to discuss and identify House and Miller's four leadership communication styles to motivate followers. Fred Fiedler was a social psychologist, and he found that other therapists that related closely to their clients, kind of understood where their clients were coming from, were better therapists than ones that just didn't get where they were coming from. So he thought, well, how do I take that and apply it to leadership and to management? How do I find out how a leader can connect with people that they don't care about or that they do care about? So he created the least preferred coworker scale. So let's say you've got a coworker named Keith, and you want to know, well, is on this scale, is Keith pleasant or unpleasant? Is he cold or is he warm? Is he hostile or supportive? And you go down this list and you create these numerical attributions and you add them all up on the scale over here, and it lets you know, well, are you a high LPC leader? Are you a low LPC leader? Do you fall somewhere in between? And once you find those out, you actually have different attributes to start applying to. So now through this scale, you are able to identify what's called situational favorableness. And there are three topics that go along with this. And these different layers are leader membership relations, and that's the degree of loyalty, respect, trust, and affection between the leader and the member. And if leader membership relationships are good, we need to know. If when leader membership relationships are bad, we need to know. And there are situational forces that go on between those to identify what's the best manager for those situations. Then you've got task. And the task structure, is it structured or unstructured? Is the task that a manager is asking a follower or a leader asking a follower to do, are they very specific? Are they agreed upon outcomes? And are they easy to evaluate? That's very structured. Many businesses are not so structured, so in many ways, there are many ways to accomplish things. It's difficult for a leader to know the best way, the evaluations, to assess how the performance was, quite difficult. And then finally, there's the leadership position of power. And what that basically says is, what is the leader's power within a group? So, for instance, if you're a teacher, then the teacher has the option to give you a grade that is a passing grade or a failing grade. If you're an employer, do you have the power to raise somebody's wages? Or are you a manager and pay wages for the people underneath you go way beyond? Are your business clients, are they union? So now you have less power as a leader in a position that says, well, I can punish you if you did something wrong. So if you're in a study group, then the leader of that study group has very little power because there's no way to punish or reward anybody particularly in those events. So we take these things and we move on to the next slide and identify where we fall along these 8 different patterns. And this is what we look like. So we've got the leader-member relationship, and you've got this broad category here. Is it a good relationship or is it a poor relationship? And then the task structure. In the task structure, is it structured or unstructured? So in a poor working relationship, is it structured or unstructured? And then what's the leader's position of power? Is it high? Is it low? And in each one of these, you need to know, is it a high or a low position of power? And the favorable leader is going to be pretty far on this scale. The unfavorable leader is going to be pretty far down on this end. But this is the interesting part. Types of leaders most effective for situations. The task-motivated leader. The task-motivated leader is the one on that least preferred coworker scale that they don't really care much about. They've scored really low on. They have potentially not a great personal relationship. They do really well for this group right here, which means if the relationship with the company and the business is good, whether it's structured or not, as long as there is a high position of power in these two and even a low position of power here, then the task motivated leader is the ideal leader under these particular situations. Oh, and over here. So now you've got a poor relationship that's unstructured and the position of power is pretty low, then the there's not a good relationship anywhere that we're going to see here. So basically, if how people feel about the company is low, it's an unstructured work, and the position leader is not creating a whole lot of efforts to make friends, then really the only thing you can do is yell at them, right? So yell at them to get the job done, and that is the best way to go about getting movement and outcomes. However, the relationship motivated fall much better in what they call the mid-range of this favorable, unfavorable position. And here's what some of the examples would look like. Think about maybe Simon Cowell, right? So Simon Cowell, the task, the relationship. Let's say it's good. We know what we're going into. And then you go, well, it's unstructured, so I'm not telling you how to sing, I'm not telling you what to sing, but I do have the power to say yes, move forward, or no, you are out of here. So this might be a Simon Cowell. A position where the leadership is good, right? It is unstructured and the position of power is low, then you really need a relationship motivated person to move forward. So this is the least preferred coworker scale kind of outcomes here, and you have these 8 different octanes that are coming through, and you have the different ideas of what motivates people more in these 8 different categories. Are they the task motivated leader, or is it better to be a relationship motivated leader? There have been some issues or critiques of Fiedler's contingency model, and one is that simply it's the use of the LPC, and is that a good measure of effectiveness? Can it really effectively tell what's the relationship between position power, task structure, and leader-member relations? And maybe it can, which I'm not entirely sure. 2 is, since the LPC consists mostly of scores that are uniform across the board, then it may indicate that the situation fits the leader and not the leader being able to actually fit into a particular situation. Now, whatever the case is, with this contingency model, what you're looking at is generally 2 different types of leaders. One is the leader that is task and goal focused, and the other one is a leader that's more relationship focused, that's really focused on building relationships. And there are certain situations where focusing on the end result, focusing on the task, is much better than focusing on your relationships with your employees. And sometimes focusing on the relationship with the employees is more important right now at this moment in the current environment of wherever the workplace is than it is focusing so much on the task. And this is an ebb and flow. So if you don't focus and you're task focused, and that is good, and yet you lose the relationship, then you've got to cycle back around. So what type of manager are you? And the other question about Fiedler's is, can you actually be both types of managers? Can you provide both types of support, relationship support and task-focused support? path goal theory is a type of expectancy theory, so it goes under the category of expectancy theory. And what it does is it's really create an organizational motivation to accomplish a goal. Well, what's the goal here? When the goal ideally is saying, well, I want the task, I want the outcome, the goal to be desirable. And the more desirable the goal is, it influences the perception of the task required to get there. And so really you help to create this belief that you can attain these goals, this end result, and the task to get there is not as difficult because the motivation to accomplish the goal. House and Mitchell came up with 4 communication styles for leaders to go along with this. So we've got directive leadership, supportive, participative, and achievement-oriented. Now, directive leadership is procedure-related. You've got this behavior that includes planning, organization, coordination of tasks, policy setting. The problem well, first of all, this is really good for inexperienced or unsure followers. Where it becomes problematic is if you have a very capable follower and you're trying to tell them exactly what it is that they need to do and how to do their job, and yet they're wildly capable of doing it. It can be very frustrating for the follower, and they're going to follow you because you're only giving them the answers that they know. However, if you are an inexperienced follower and you're not sure what to do, then this is really a good type of communication. It's also very good for tasks that is unstructured. Then you got supportive leadership, which is this person that's really there, that concerned for your need and well-being. They try to get a climate of interaction and fellowship. It's very good for followers that are skilled but they don't have the confidence or commitment to accomplish a task. And usually the nature of those tasks are highly structured, and if the task is stressful, if it's tedious or they're frustrating, it's very good to have somebody there that they can talk to, that can support them in this. They don't need more direction, they don't need participation, they need somebody that's there to support them. Participative leaders are ones that want you to get involved in the idea and decision-making process, and is really good for followers that are unsure of themselves or unsure of how to move forward in a project, particularly if that task is unstructured. And then finally there's the achievement-oriented leadership, and that's a communication that focuses on goal attainment and accomplishment. We want excellence in how we go about achieving goals. This is great for followers that possess the necessary skills, great for tasks that are unstructured, so we need to work together or an individual has the skill set to figure out what they need to do in order to accomplish an end goal. So these are the 4 different types of communication styles put forth by House and Mitchell. So path goal theory is, in a way, kind of like putting the carrot on a string on the fishing rod, holding it out in front of the donkey, and that donkey continued going down the path, the direction you want it to go, because it sees the goal, and the goal is desirable enough to follow that path. Now, House and Mitchell created these different styles in order to motivate individuals to reach those goals. But the ultimate is that you are influencing participation to go down this path to reach an ultimate goal. And that's the path goal theory of leadership and of motivation. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope you did learn something from it.